So, welcome, Sally, to this afternoon session. Great to have you back in the room.
Feel like I live here these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of time you're spending in the room, but
Spend more time with
good
you.
that someone's doing it. Because the problem is, if no one does it, then we don't have live sessions to record, and other people don't benefit. So it needs one or two people. I mean, ideally more, but at least one person to show up. Otherwise, I can't have a discussion with myself. It's very doing it on my own is quite challenging.
It's really nice when somebody else joins because, there's a different interaction, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So each session then it has a different dynamic.
Mm.
So yeah, you were just mentioning about yesterday. Do you want to do a bit of a share on that? That process we did for
Yeah.
the without going to personal details necessarily, but we did a process of the instrument for peace, and then it helped you to shift some stuff.
Yeah. It was really helpful to see it in writing, to read it out with you and to hear myself read it out because it just made it so much clearer.
Mm,
And the whole thing that we're learning here was played out on it, which was really good. And I just felt the shift and the relief, and it feels like that was really pivotal in my development and in my learning the Course in Miracles, because it was like me living out everything that's taught here.
mm,
I feel like now all the diagrams kind of speak to me in a different way because I can see that I was punishing myself, and you know yeah, I don't know, it's too big to really explain, but it was a really big transformation, and I feel that's really pivotal whatever the word is.
pivotal. Yeah, pivotal.
um, but there was lots of things even after doing that kind of reinforced it and accompanied it. I mean, knowing that now is another word for pure formless awareness of perfect love and knowledge, and just bringing other teachings in, like Eckhart Tolle's now, into what you're showing us with the Course in Miracles and making it all one, like all
Mm,
things are one.
mm.
That,
You start to see, as Yeshua says, it's a universal truth. It says a universal theology is impossible, but a universal experience is not only possible but necessary.
yeah.
So he's directing us to the universal experience of truth, which, if you look at all the different spiritual traditions, all the different masters, sages who've lived in, throughout history, they have the same experience. It's nothing particularly different. It's just subtle nuances of how that experience is described, language, but it's the same experience. And it always comes down to a unity consciousness. They see oneness. They realize that, there isn't really separation. They are one with their source, whatever they call that. But it's not dogmatic. It's not like a conceptual belief. It's a feeling. They
Mm.
know it because they feel it. And they are in a state of awareness. So it's got nothing to do with formal religion. I believe in God, and, I have faith in this conceptual God that the priest or the rabbi, the imam has told me is there. And, it's far removed from that dogmatic, traditional, religious and very, uh, very rooted in that. What would you call it? Traditional, dogmatic. I'm looking for a word. Um, Formal, extreme. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Uh, um, Fundamentalist. I think. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It's like fundamentalist religion, where it's like, right, there's a fixed God, there's a concept, and our religion is different from others because of this. And this is on the other end of the spectrum. It's an experience that is universal, that is timeless, and it doesn't matter what your culture is, what your tradition is. If you go in search of the truth genuinely, you will find the same experience. And so then there must be one truth. This is what we have to intuit. It's like there are not many truths. There's one truth, And that truth seems to be obscured by separation and different experiences and culture and all of this. But actually, if you look through that, there's one truth, and there's actually really only one experience of truth. Ultimately, it's the same experience, which then makes the theory of, well, yes, God is one and there's only oneness. That's the concept. But in the experience, you go, yes, the theory matches the experience. I get it. And it has to be experiential, otherwise you don't really get it. So you can study A Course in Miracles till the cows come home and go, yes, God is only one, and you can spout the theory, anyone can speak it. But when you really feel it, and you only feel it when you let go. So you have an opportunity like you had, it's a forgiveness opportunity or lesson. And then in that process, you let go and you experience the shift. There's a transition, a transformation. You know that there's been a shift and you feel it. Then the whole teaching comes alive. You go, wow, I moved from there to there and I did this and that really worked and I'm feeling, much more peaceful, much more joyful. Oh, wow, this stuff really works. It's not just theory. This actually works in practice. And actually it can work in practice in every area of my life if I'm willing to just apply it consistently. And then the penny kind of drops. So maybe that was it for you. So, and hats off to you because you plugged away for months. You just, and obviously every day there's some learning. But then every now and then what happens is you get a breakthrough. There's an epiphany. It's like bing. And you just never know when that's going to happen because you're not in control of the journey. So you don't go, well, on the whatever it was yesterday, the 8th of September, I will have, and that's, you can't control the journey and life happens, situations happen. So it's always worth remembering, when there's a drama, when there's a difficulty like you faced, that is an invitation for a miracle. It's a setup for a miracle. And that's how your spiritual growth is going to advance more quickly. So you go, okay, bring it on. Great. Another one. Oh, this is good because I'm, gonna get some more insight from this for sure. And the more difficult the lesson is, the more those ego and turbulated emotions come up, the more of a shift there's going to be. Because when you let that go, the relief. It's a contrast, isn't it? I'm really turbulated, and then I let it go, and I find peace. And you go, wow, that's such a difference. And then the entire course is designed simply to teach you the difference between the thought systems. I don't know if you read the text the other day, but he's saying the only purpose of this is to teach you that there are different thought systems and to be able to discern the difference between them. So that's not all the same, because the ego's got you very confused. It's like, well, it's all the same, it's all truth, and you can't differentiate. Well, then you can't make clear choice, can you? And so you're just confused. You're in a muddle. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's false. How do you make accurate choices then? How do you decide on what to do in life? Because it all seems to be true. And he's saying, no, the truth is true. There's only one truth. And it is not the same as lies. It is false. Lies and falsehood do not reconcile in any way, shape, or form. And you just have to be able to see that clearly in your own mind, and then you've got a basis for decision in every situation. Okay, that's true, that's false. Okay, easy. I choose the truth. And you keep doing that. But as long as you're confused and you don't know, the ego's got you. Because it's trying to pretend that it's the truth and wants you to listen to it. And now you're going to make decisions based on that thought system, which are taking in the wrong direction, but you think it's the right direction. And then the truth, which is still there, is covered over. And then you find there's conflict. As long as you haven't made a clear choice for truth, there will be conflict. Because the other part of your mind, the Holy Spirit, hasn't gone away. The ego can never undo that. So that's always going to be there as the voice of conscience saying, I'm not sure about this. Am I really making the right choice? Well, and so we have a split mind, and it's very uncomfortable. And there's no peace there until we make clear decision. So I think you did that yesterday. You make the clear decision, and then you're, oh, wow, actually peace opens up. This is the way. And I could do this in every situation in my life because there's truth and there's illusion, and it's actually pretty clear cut. There's a clear choice in these difficult situations. And we're not talking about choice on the level of, well, shall I have a cup of tea or not? That's not really, unless tea is a big issue for you. That those kinds of choices are not really important. But when it comes to a choice like, okay, so do I forgive? Do I let this go mentally, emotionally, psychologically, or do I hold on? That is the kind of choice that's really important to make. And as you make the right choice, then you see it works. You see the theory works, and you go, I'm convinced now. My belief is strengthened because I've seen it work. That's the process of miracles. That's why it's called A Course in Miracles, and not A Course in Love or A Course in Revelation, because it's designed to reveal the truth systematically and progressively to you. And if you just keep doing that, then the ego will unwind. You are going to let it go, and you are advancing towards truth day by day. And if you're putting in the kind of hours you are, that's accelerating your journey massively. So you're saving yourself a lot of time through this process. And then the benefits radiate, as you said, the benefits radiate out to everyone. You go on a walk, well, you're more happy, you're more joyful, people pick that up. Animals respond to it, people respond to it, your clients respond to it. Now you're living the abundant life that Yeshua talked about. You're living in that state of love and gratitude flowing through you, which is very appropriate because it's today's lesson. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. So you're living that state of mind, and you go, actually, this is quite cool. It's an illusion. I get that, but it's a happy one. I can have a happy dream while I'm here. I don't have to suffer. And that's about the best we can do here. Have a happy dream, be peaceful, be happy, spread love and light. And, when we're finally ready to leave, we leave and you never come back. And that's it's kind of a bit of an anticlimax from the ego's point of view. But that's all it is. There's no grandiose, you're going to become enlightened and then, you'll change the world, or you're changing the world just by changing your perception of the world. You're changing the world real time. You changed the world yesterday because you just shifted something internally, and now your perception of the situation and in fact your entire life has changed. So you just changed the world. So it becomes very practical and very real, very experiential in your life, not grandiose. I'm going to change the world and it's externalized. It's your beliefs, your perception of the world change fundamentally through this practice of forgiveness or letting go. And when you do it, you know that you can't. It's like experiential. No one can tell you this. You've learned it experientially. Now it's true knowledge. It's not book knowledge. Someone didn't say, okay, well, here are the 10 steps, and that's a starting point. But it's like, I actually did this. I did the instrument for peace, and it worked. And I'm like, okay, wow, I get it. This is really working. And then, if you want to teach it, you teach with authority. You go, well, I know it works because I've done it. So then people listen because they're like, okay, there's real authority there, there's clarity. They're a bit confused, and you have the conviction and the certainty they're looking for, and you guide them through that. You guide them through that process. So, you could do what I did for you. You could do it with your clients. There's no reason why you couldn't do that. It's not difficult. The process is there. You just take them through the process. Be a compassionate guiding presence, let them go through it, and the process, the truth does the work, and that process is well designed because it's coming from truth, so it works. So thank you for sharing that.
I also think the added miracle was even after I'd done the shift, and then my friend confirmed the ego thoughts I was thinking were not even on her radar. So it's like, so that was a double confirmation. Not only had I taken the shift in my mind, I had an outside world confirmation that my ego thought system was ridiculous.
No.
I was like,
it was just your own story.
Yeah.
It was your own story entirely. And it was like, okay, can you just let go of the story? See that actually you did nothing wrong. See, you're innocent. That's the whole teaching of this. You are innocent. You never did anything wrong. You don't deserve to be punished. When you get that, it's like, what a relief. That burden of sin and guilt is dropped, and it's all okay. And I didn't make a mistake, and I don't deserve punishment, and I'm free to be happy and peaceful. And the only person who's punishing you is you. That's the bizarre thing. Who's punishing you? There's no outside force, off-planet God. It's you. It's just your own mind.
But that
doing it.
Experiential, like you say, actually having that real life experience of going, it's me making up the story, ego making up the story, and and I'm creating my own self-punishment. And it's like, it was real wow. And then even when I was out walking this morning and I was like thinking about, oh, I see, oh, I create that, oh, I create that, oh, it's like all these little pennies dropping. I could see it panned out in other areas of my life, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. So you see what it does, and then you go, once you've seen the ego clearly, you go, wow, wow, okay, I see what he means. Like, it's a self-concept. And this is how it plays out. It's got all these thoughts and emotions it gets me to feel, and I get kind of stuck in that. And that thought emotion pattern is a self. That's the separate self he's talking about, which is running my life. It's been running my life for forever. But the moment you can zoom out and you can see that, then you realize you're not it. Because what's the awareness that's able to look at it and go, oh my goodness, that whole pattern isn't me. And that's experiential. That's like, it's not intellectual knowledge. It's like I actually see in my own, and it's personal. You see your own ego, you see your own pattern, and you let it go. And then you go, wow, this is so powerful. This is freedom. I can free myself from that insane pattern. I don't have to do that anymore because it's not really me. And I have now a technology of the mind. That's what this is. These simple processes work with the mind to help you to let go of the self concept and find the pure formless awareness of perfect love that you really are. And it's inevitable. If you use them, they will do that. That's what they're designed to do. So the genius of this course and Yeshua is he's like, okay, I know this works. So yeah, I'm going to give you the process. I'm going to give you very specific instructions. Follow this process, and it's a done deal. It's going to work. The only difficulty is we don't follow it. The ego is telling us, oh no, you don't have time, or it doesn't want us to understand, or so the hero, somebody says, okay, I will get this. I'm not going to waver from this. This is my one purpose, and I'm absolutely committed to this. And if I don't get it straight away, that's fine. I'll keep working, and I keep working. And then you break through with that kind of commitment and determination. You will break through because you keep at it. And then one day, like yesterday, arrives, and then you get a shift, and you go, oh wow, that's just a major opening, but you didn't know that was going to happen the day before. So you're not really in charge of the journey, but it's a good thing you're not in charge of the journey, because the ego's trying to be in charge of the journey, and that's the resistance you feel. It's like when you're willing to just let that go and say, okay, I don't really know what's going on. That the hero's journey really, then you're really going where you need to go, which is into the oneness, the letting go of control. It's not about more control, it's the letting go of control.
Yeah, and thinking about it as you're talking, I'm thinking, the clients I've had since that session with you yesterday lunchtime, it's been different, very, very different. It's like a real sureness in me that's ego. I don't know how to explain it. I can so clearly see the difference between ego and now, and it's like I can just picture myself saying it to people, and it's a different energy, and I'm seeing it all differently, and I'm saying it differently. So yeah,
and that so that in your practice will help you immensely, because that's really all we're trying to teach. If you're a teacher or a healer, you're just trying to teach people the difference between the truth and the illusion, so they can discern it. And if you don't know it, you can't really teach it. If you're still confused, then there's no clarity for them. But if you have absolute clarity, then you point them in the, so, oh, okay, Sally's clear and light, and yes, I can follow that guidance. And then you lead them down the path of truth. You become the teacher of God. So yeah, well done. Just
thank
keep
you.
showing up. Keep showing up. Okay, so we have a look at today's quote.
Okay, so today is: gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. By Melody Beattie.
Yeah, I like that. So house into a home. Interesting. Yesterday you were talking about your home rather than your house. I think it's quite relevant.
Mm.
Meal into a feast, a stranger into a friend. So just a perceptual shift takes place.
Yeah, the stranger to a friend was the bit that stood out for me, and that
Yeah,
total sense. Yeah,
yeah,
you can have those kind of meetings with people that are just very superficial and don't mean anything, but if you know have that gratitude, acceptance, whatever you want to call it, in the relationship, suddenly you're bonded, aren't you, with somebody? You've got that two-way
yeah,
connection, and that's what makes the interaction into something special.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so you want to read the couple of paragraphs there?
Today's inspirational quote by Melody Beattie, an American author of self-help books on codependent relationships, is a good reminder about the transformative power of gratitude. As she says, it unlocks, or in ACIM terms, unblocks, what she calls the fullness of life, and Yeshua calls abundant life in his quote from the Gospel of John in the New Testament: "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, but I have come so that they may have life and may have it abundantly."
So this is the abundant life quote, which is often quoted by Christian preachers. So you might say, well, what does it actually mean to live an abundant life? And many evangelists, ministers, pastors, particularly in America, have misinterpreted the quote. So it's a justification for seeking material wealth because the ego is going to, interpret it as it wants to. In a materialistic society, and you want to get more followers, then that's an interpretation that would certainly work for the ego. But this isn't what the phrase means at all. It means to live life in a state of unconditional love and gratitude for all your experiences as they happen in each moment. So moment by moment, the now, Eckhart Tolle talks about, you're in the true awareness, pure formless awareness. You're open, you're not in your conditioned mind, judging every moment, separating yourself from this presence, this awareness. And then naturally love, because that's the nature of the presence, is love, and naturally gratitude for each moment are there. It's because it's the underlying presence. So whatever comes in is coming into a field of love and gratitude. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's nice, then it just enhances it. Oh wow, it's a nice walk or a sunset, or I'm having a nice meal with someone, or whatever it is, and it enhances that experience. It brings another sort of added quality of enjoyment to it. And if it's unpleasant, if it's difficult, then you go, well, I have love and gratitude anyway, so I can let go of the perception of any perception that it's negative, it's bad, and I remain rooted in this truth, and I feel the love and gratitude, even if it's difficult, because that's still the truth. And so you can't really lose with that philosophy, because if it's a good experience, it just enhances the quality of it. If it's a so-called bad experience, well, you just let go of your misperception of that, and you stay rooted in this truth that is always there. So, a lot of people go, well, letting go, and I can't, what about all the good stuff? Well, you let go of your attachment to it. You don't need the good stuff in order to feel love and gratitude. That's the whole point. You feel it anyway. But now it's there as your base state. You experience something that's nice. It just enhances it. So, oh wow, this just adds another dimension of joy to it, maybe of enthusiasm, of feeling really expanded, and that experience just comes alive because you're rooted in the state of love and gratitude. And if it's a negative experience, you just let it go, and you remain in this peaceful state of love and gratitude anyway. And that's the enlightened way that Yeshua and all the masters have taught. Stay rooted in that state, no matter what, because it's the only truth. Okay, so if you want to carry on with how is this possible?
How is this possible when life is such a mixed bag, you may well ask? How can I ever be grateful for terrible things Yeshua refers to in his quote that have happened to me and other people? your ego may be saying to you to add weight to its argument.
They're talking, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. Well, the thief is the ego, the belief in separation, that's going to steal your joy. Right? It's not talking about material stuff. It's going to steal the truth from you, steal the life essence, steal the love, steal the gratitude, steal the joy. Kill, because it's going to kill all. Ultimately, the ego wants to destroy life. It wants to destroy love, gratitude, because it's the belief that it's destroyed oneness. So, the first part of the sentence is okay, that's the ego. But I have come so that they may have life and may have it abundantly. So he's come to be the demonstration of this thought system, to show people what it is like to live in the life essence, stay connected with it, and live an abundant life. And he is just a way show, the demonstration of the Christ living in the world. So, because without an example, it's just too theoretical. We need an example, and so people like Yeshua come and they are the example. And he's saying to us as his students, he's saying, well, you be the example. The world needs examples, just like I was the example. You be the living example of the Christ to your friends, your family, your clients, to the world, because the world needs these examples. That's the only way that people really learn. So this is why mastering the art of letting go is absolutely essential. If you want to be the example, then letting go is where it's at. Letting go allows the Christ, this love and this gratitude, to come through. So if you want to read the next one, this is why mastering
the art of letting go is absolutely essential. Truly letting go enables you to reinterpret even the most seemingly painful experiences as blessings, and to be truly grateful for them by perceiving them correctly as the projections of your own ego or belief in separation that show you the negative effects of this belief and help you decide to let it go.
So look at yesterday's experience. Seemingly painful, but actually perfect, because it's bringing up your own belief system, your own belief in separation. It's a projection of your own ego. It shows you the negative effects of this belief and help you decide to let it go. So it's all good. It's perfect. You need that experience to let it go. You welcome the challenges. You don't think that they're bad and they shouldn't be happening. You welcome them in. It's like, oh, this is how I'm going to grow. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
I usually see the positives in everything, but when things get that tricky, I lose sight of it. But yeah, welcome them in, I know.
which is exactly, why it's challenging. Because when it's really difficult, you don't welcome it in, you resist it, and you go, this is bad, and why is it happening? And the ego hijacks this thoughts, it hijacks your mind. It's telling you, no, it's negative, and it doesn't want you to see that, oh wow, this is a major opportunity to let it go. Of course, it's not going to tell you that, because it doesn't want to be undone. But that's why when the going gets tough, you need to really go, okay, spiritual practice, go back to the truth. Right? You need, when you're most tempted to forget the truth, that's when you need the truth most. So then really, really immerse yourself and go, okay, remind myself, these principles are still true, right? There's no exception to this. The truth is true always. So it applies in this situation as well. And then it's the rigorous application, which is the disciplined mind training that he's training us to do. Apply it no matter what, because the truth is true no matter what has happened. So it could be the most horrendous situation. People have faced terrible things in this world: death, disaster, losing homes, entire families killed, this kind of stuff. But the truth is still true, even in that situation. So don't make exceptions, because it's the only thing that's going to pull you out of it. If you make one exception to the truth, then the ego is true. And now you've denied the truth and you believe in what's false, and there's no hope in that thought system. So you're condemning yourself to a helpless, enervated little life of victimhood, and then suffering, ongoing suffering, pain, sickness, and eventually death. Do you see why it's hell from yesterday's experience? A
Mm.
helpless, innovated little life. Because you did say, I feel powerless. That's the innovation. It's powerless. I'm weakened. I'm a victim. But who's victimizing you? You are. Your own mind is victimizing you. It's insane. No one's doing it to you. It's your own thinking that's doing it to you. Okay? So this is an entirely opposite way of thinking.
This is an entirely opposite way of thinking and perceiving the world to the ego's upside down thought system, and equally false related perceptions that make these projections, and therefore the belief in separation that seemingly causes them, real to you. But how do I actually learn to think in this right-minded way, you may be asking yourself? The short answer is by practicing the daily mind training lessons that Yeshua has given us in the Course in Miracles workbook as he directs, which is a twice a day in the morning and evening for at least 15 minutes, and frequently, ideally every hour throughout the day, in short practice periods that need only take you a minute. It's amazing how difficult it is to do it every hour, though. you know, so many times I go, right, for the next 3 days, I'm going to do it every hour. And then something, I don't know, I just lose focus and then 2 hours is gone.
Yeah. You got to have some reminder system on your phone or something that pings, and then you go, okay, just take a minute at least to do it, because it's just a minute. I mean, you can do this in under a minute. I've given, those instructions in the email and in the Telegram message. If you follow that, that's under a minute. So it's not a massive amount of time. It's just a short break. Remind yourself. But the ego doesn't want you to remember. So the resistance is it wants you to forget and just, go on your way. So if you want to ramp it up, try and do it every hour, even if it's just for 30 seconds, and put some kind of, there's apps you can download.
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah. Whether it's a Course in Miracles app or just one that reminds you every hour. And then, all you got to do is play the breath break if you've got a bit more time, or just look at the slide that I've sent you. That's the idea of the slides. It's there. Okay, pull it up, read it, breathe, and you could do it standing up. You could do it while you're walking. It's possible. But the question is, will you have the discipline to do it? Because then, if you do it every hour, you're interrupting the ego's pattern every hour. So it's going to accelerate your mind training greatly. So you don't have long periods where you just forget the truth and you're oblivious. It's like every hour you're reminding yourself, you're checking in, and you're reconnecting with this awareness. And the idea is for the next hour, okay, now you've got the connection, you stay rooted in that awareness. Obviously, if a challenge comes up, well, do it straight away. You don't have to wait for the hour. It's there, to be used in times of need. But if nothing particular has come up in that hour, you do the breath break, you let it go, and so you're building. You are building that presence in you, so that it becomes so strong. Your connection is so strong that nothing moves you. Whatever comes in, you get to a point where it's like, okay, and if there's a flicker and I feel moved, okay, do a breath break, let it go, and I restore my mind very quickly to the state of pure formless awareness. And the more you stay in that, the more it becomes your default. This is your home. You're like, that's where I'm at home. That's where I'm peaceful. That's the state I choose above all other states. And I now have a practice to, it's going to help me to do that.
What I did is I wrote down all the hours of the day and looked at why I wasn't doing a breath break in those moments. So like 8 o'clock, I often miss 8 o'clock because it's a time when lots of things going on, it's busy. But what I managed to do is reinstate one new one every now and again. So now I can do 11 o'clock. So whatever happens, I make sure I get a gap just before or just after 11 o'clock between clients.
Yes.
And I adjust people's clients just so I get a 10-minute break around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it made a really big difference.
Yeah.
Present just for 5 or 10 minutes, 10 minutes usually around that time, and it resets me, realigns me. So I know how powerful it is to reset.
Yeah.
I've still got to work on 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Well, just try. I mean, if you miss one, it's not the end of the world. Of course not. But he's saying, if you really want to accelerate your progress, just do it every hour. I mean, there's no reason why, unless you're in the middle of a meeting with a client, you could take 30 seconds or a minute and just go, all right, I'll just do it. But will you do it? Will you remember? That's the question. And the more you remember, you see the practice itself. It's like, okay, so because I'm disciplined in this, I'm making the truth really important in my life. I'm consciously remembering the truth every hour. So it's not just some distant theory. It's like, no, every hour this truth experientially. That's why you do it, through a breath break. You practice the lesson. I'm feeling this. I'm connecting with the experience of it, at least every hour, and that just roots you. You establish such a strong connection with truth that in the difficult times, you've just upgraded your ability to handle those massively because you're just rooted in that truth. And so something comes in that might have freaked you out really hugely a year ago, and you go, actually, I'm not that bothered. It's fine. I just do a little breath break, let it go. And then you realize I've just upgraded my capacity to handle the difficulties of life hugely through this process. And he's saying, what I like about his idea is he's saying not long periods of meditation. He's saying like 15 minutes twice a day. Okay, that's not that long. It's not saying an hour, 2 hours. Some of these Eastern practices like Vipassana, hours and hours and hours of this stuff. And for a Western mind, that's probably not going to work. People just don't have the time. They don't have the patience. It's too uncomfortable, so they give it up. Whereas this practice, he's saying, okay, so remember, it's given in New York City. Like really very, intense, busy, hectic life to people who like really, they weren't living spiritual life at all by their own admission. And so he's giving it to them to try and help them in their life. And that's why he's designed it this way. Saying, okay, so some longer periods, that's good. Have 15 minutes. I think the longest he ever asks you to do is a half an hour meditation. So not that long, but just a longer time to kind of root yourself into that in the morning and the evening. And so kind of set yourself into the frequency, lock yourself or anchor yourself into that frequency. And then hourly, just a little top up, top it up, top it up, top it up. So you keep the connection so you don't lose it. And I think that's a really good methodology. I think he's thought it through really well. He understands his audience. He's saying this, yeah, you could say, well, unrealistic to expect people to do it every hour, but it's possible. Most people's lives, even if you're busy, you're working, you could do a minute every hour. Just got to remind yourself. Whether you're walking, you're driving, if you're working at your computer, you just take a quick pause, you do a minute, and then you carry on. So it's it's just putting that into practice and saying, yes, okay, if he's designed it this way, if I follow his guidance, he's a master teacher. This has to excel. I'm trusting him. He knows what he's doing. The course works by design. So let me follow the guidance, what he's saying, and surely I'll get the results. And then, all I've done with the art of letting go, I said, okay, well, let's make it a bit easier. So you got the lessons, but why not do some recordings? So instead of having to read, it's audio. So you got a breath break, you got a longer meditation. All you got to do is play that. And it's all there. It's on your phone with the modern technology. It's fantastic because it's right there. You have this amazing device that you just tap, and then it'll play it, and it's right there. It's just a tap away. So just to make it easier to listen, and then through the audio, I think that the nice thing about audio is it can kind of get you into the experience more, can't it? Rather than the reading. Much more, depends. Some people like reading, but I know if I listen, it's like, okay, well, I can kind of relax the conceptual mind and just kind of go into an experience. And so it's guided. I don't have to worry about reading and understand. It's just, okay, just let my voice and if there's some music or nature sounds in the background, let that just guide me into an experience for those few minutes. And it's a letting go of everything else, just immersing yourself in that experience for those 2, 3, 4 minutes, however long the breath break is, letting it all go. And then you come out and it's like, oh, that was a mini meditation. I feel refreshed, I feel connected again. And from a just from a productivity point of view, they've done studies on this, and they found actually taking a short break, 5 minutes every 25 minutes, actually works really well from a productivity point of view. So because human beings aren't designed just to go and go and go. So taking those short breaks actually makes you more productive and more effective, because then you carry on after your 5 minutes and you're in a refreshed, energized state. And so the quality of the work, it's quality, not quantity. Quality of the work is going to be better. So enlightened employers know this. This is why companies like Google have meditation pods, because they go, okay, fine. If you're tired, go take a break. Take half an hour, an hour. We're not going to be hassling you. We're going to give you, all these facilities, meditation pods, and they have headphones, so meditation tracks built in, and we're going to give you good quality food, so that you're going to be comfortable and you're going to be in an optimum state to give your best. And they reap the rewards, because people are more creative, they're more productive, they stay longer. They might spend an hour meditating, but then they'll stay longer, and they can have a meal there. Oh, well, I have my evening meal here. So it's just a different way of thinking, isn't it?
Mm.
And then you actually get more, by allowing people to take breaks, and not being, oh, what are you doing? You're slacking off and you're wasting time. Understanding that no one can be always on. No one can be productive, fully productive for 8 hours of the day. So you need to pulse your energy. You go and it's you focus, and then you rest. And why not do that all the time? So you get into this flow of rest and action. And if you live this way, you've got the two elements of being and doing in balance, haven't you? So I keep connecting with being. The being inspires my doing, and then if I find, and I've just built that into my schedule, but also if I find I'm going out of beingness, then I let go of the doing and I go back to beingness, and I rest again. And that rest doesn't need to be a long time. It can be a few minutes. I just rest, I connect with the energy, I restore myself, okay, and then I carry on. And so you keep just topping up the tank, resting, and that re-energizes you. And that's a much more effective way of living than like, okay, let's pedal to the floor, let's burn up everything we have, and then you're burnt out and you're exhausted, and then you get the modern day malaise is burnout. People just they've drawn on too much, they haven't topped themselves up, and they just crash. And that's the typical pattern of many A-type personalities, because they didn't build rest into their daily schedule systematically. Well, if you do this program, you will be systematically, and I say systematically and progressively, training your mind to let go of its expectations about and attachments to its own projections, and free it to experience unconditional love and gratitude in each now moment, which is the abundance of life that Yeshua talked about.
Yeah, it's coming back to the now, isn't it? So it's like, for me, it's like resetting the GPS system. It feels like I can go down my thinking route and keep going down that route. But if I stop and spend a few minutes breathing, being in the now, breath break, whatever, then I start from a new spot again, a different spot, and that takes me somewhere else. So yeah, listening to you talk, I think I'm recommitting to adding in a couple more. Yeah. And
you do it for yourself, because you will be in a better state of mind. It's not because I say it, or it's not I'm doing it because I know that that's going to put me into a better state of mind, and my experience of life will be a higher quality one. I'll have more love, I'll have more gratitude. If I'm in that field of love and gratitude, that's abundance. That's the abundance of life. That energy creates abundance, and material things start, people, places, circumstances rearrange themselves because you're in that frequency, and that's how miracles work. So that's the key. Instead of I need the abundance to be happy, I'm already abundant. I'm in this abundant life, and then I let things show up because I'm in that abundance of life, and so my experiences then reflect that. And so this is how it should really work. It's not conscious man. It's not like the secret, oh, I desire this, I want to achieve this because then I think I'll be in a better state. It's like, no, I'm already in a better state. I drop into that already. I don't need anything to happen for me to be in that state. And then things show up around that reflect that. That's the miraculous way of manifestation rather than conscious manifestation. See the difference? Because the one is outside in, the other one's inside out. So we look at the integral model just very quickly. Where are we? Course manual. There we go. So have a look at this integral model. So what most conscious manifestation works on the assumption that something in the external is going to bring you happiness, some kind of higher state. So, oh well, you want more money, you want a better job, you want a special partner, you want some material possession. Okay, we'll focus on it, set the goal. But the assumption behind all of that is that when you get that, you're going to be happier, isn't it? Otherwise, why would you do it? Okay, so it's outside in. When you get something externally, then your inner state will change. Yeah, but that's the wrong way around, because that is an effect and not a cause. So that's why these teachings ultimately don't work, because the logic isn't sound. They're putting what's an effect at cause, and they're ignoring the intentional domain, which is causative. They're saying that's now the effect of the external world. Do you see the problem with the logic? Whereas from A Course in Miracles perspective, or any other truly spiritual path, they say, no, this is primary, your intention. So what are you thinking? What are you feeling? If you can feel love and gratitude, irrespective of what's going on here in the external domain, then that frequency will tend to influence your behavior and your words and your actions, and it happens miraculously. It's not just what you're doing, it's the whole energy that you exude. You are in quantum terms, you are affecting the field profoundly just by being rooted in love and gratitude. And because it all works through the field, we're living in a field of mind projected out, then miraculous things start to show up. Synchronicities, Carl Jung called them, people showing up who are just the right person at the right time, opportunities coming, holy encounters. Just your life becomes rich. It's an abundant life in the moment. And your material needs are met because it's an abundant energy. It's not a scarce, lacking energy. Remember what we just talked about in the text, sacrifice doesn't exist. This thought system is all based on sacrifice. So if you put the external world first, then you believe in sacrifice. It's that simple. Whereas you put this first, you say, let me connect with the love and the gratitude, really feel it. I feel the abundance of life, and then I let that guide me. And there's no fear. It's moment by moment stuff showing up, and I'm being guided, and I know that I'm always safe. I'm always in that love and that gratitude because it's my true awareness. It doesn't matter what happens externally. So then there's no attachment to outcome, but you can enjoy the outcome. The outcome happens, you go, oh, that's nice, but there's no attachment to it. It's like, okay, what comes and it goes. So you can be in the world, but not of the world without attachment. And you're not needing the outcomes to be happy. You're happy anyway. An outcome comes along and you go, oh, wow, that's nice. It's a confirmation of the love and the gratitude I already feel. And it enhances it. Great. But no attachment. If it wasn't there, no big deal. I have this anyway. So can you see that profound difference between the thought systems?
Mm.
Why the one works and why the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
Why this integral model, that's why I keep coming back to it, because it highlights, the quadrants. And so now you can make a decision. Am I going to believe in this, the external world? And that's different from believing in the internal world. These worlds are not the same. They're connected in this world, but they're not the same. That's why there's a separation between them. The internal world and the external world are not the same. And I need to I can't honor two masters. I either honor this, scientific materialism, it's all about form and nothing else, or I honor this. But I can't honor both. Yeshua said you can't honor two masters. You must choose. Okay, so where are we? Love and gratitude. Yeah, and then so there's those the regular lessons in this program, but then you've also got things like Instrument for Peace and the 10-step letting go process, which we looked at. We did the Instrument for Peace yesterday. This is also a good process. So you could do both. If one doesn't shift it, use the other, or use both, because they're just different ways to the same outcome, which is letting go and finding the pure formless awareness of perfect love. So you've got sort of deeper processes, more industrial strength processes as well that you can use as to deal with specific issues like you were facing yesterday. And then there's longer meditations as well. And listen to the guided letting go theta meditation, which has got the 10-step process embedded in it. If you like a deep meditation, there's a lady called Julie who joined after the Scottish trip. And she said, well, after 3 days, she said, well, I'm still kind of getting into the program. See, there's a lot there, but just the theta meditation, just doing that every morning for 3 days has really helped. So apart from anything else, you can see there's a whole lot more to the program, but just that is life-changing if you use it. So that's really the thing. It's all, the tools are all there. I can give them all to you, but will you use them systematically in your life? And that's really the self-discipline that's required to make this really work for you. So it incorporates all the teachings, the 10-step process, and these meditations based on it. Incorporates the entire teaching of Course in Miracles. All the theory is in these 10 steps. So it's like the operating system. You don't have to remember all of it. You just do the 10 steps, and all of the theory is now being applied in your life if you do the steps correctly. So again, it's an operating system. Use it. You're applying the theory in practice, and when you do that, the results are enormously powerful, as you experienced yesterday. And then if you don't have time for an hour, do half an hour. Do you listen to the guided theta meditation every morning?
No, not every morning. No, I've done it a couple of times. I've done some short ones of it, but I've just given a note to self to do it this evening.
Yeah. So that hour in the morning, that'll set you. The reason you do an hour is you set into a deep frequency. It'll put you into a deep state of peace that 10 minutes is unlikely to do. So do a longer period, sets the frequency, and then you're in that frequency, then you top yourself up with the breath breaks, and it's with you're more deeply rooted in it. And so it changes the energy of the whole day. If you can't do 1 hour, then there's a 30-minute version or a 40-minute version as well. So in your ideal spiritual schedule. So you're presumably familiar with this, but I'll just show anyone who's watching the video. So there it is. You've got a whole spiritual schedule. If ever you're not sure what to do, you go there and you go, oh, okay, morning practices, all right. So I'd like to do 1 hour, 40 minutes, 30 minutes. Oh, let me try that one. That's a new one. Half-hour meditation just on the 10-step letting go process. So you got choices, and you can vary those, according to your schedule. And then you go into, you can do your essence statement. That could just take a minute or two, or you can go into 20 minutes on that. And if you wanted to, you could spend 2 to 3 hours in the morning just using all this stuff if you wanted to. The tools are there. There's the helpfulness prayer, surrender prayer. There's a statement of higher purpose. Again, you could just say that quickly, read the quote, or you can listen to it and be guided through it in 10 minutes. Up to you. The tools are all there. And then you've got the lesson for the day, 18-minute meditation. So as I said, if you did it all, it might take 2 hours. Some people, they'll spend 2 hours on spiritual practice, but otherwise you just pick and choose and go, okay, well, I'll do a half an hour med, and then I'll go into, I'll just remind myself of this, I'll read the quote, and then I'll do the 18-minute meditation. So that'll be about an hour. And so you can design your own program, that's all there. So a lot of people go, oh, I have to do it all. No, you don't have to do it all. It's an ideal. It's all there for you, but you can create your own program that works for you. And that can flex. If you're particularly busy in the morning, you've got some meetings or you've got to be somewhere. Okay, well, you could cut it down to half an hour and just do the bare bones. And then you continue on. So there's your breath break. So either listen to a 90 second, 6 minutes, or that if you follow these instructions, it'll be under a minute. Just do this in under a minute. There it is. It's on your phone. It's in your email. You read it to guide you through it, or listen to the recording. The live calls. And then evening, carry on. Do the breath breaks every hour. If you missed the live session, listen to the recording. Earlier live session. I've decided, the evening sessions, no one's really attending. And as I said, we're going into a space now where the lessons are much shorter in the second part of the workbook. So I think we can try and cover it all in one session. Just do the text and the workbook. But if you missed it, then there's a recording in the evening to listen to, and the text reading in the evening, and then a meditation. That's the longer practice period for the day, for the lesson. And generally there's a couple of choices of recordings. If you don't have 18 minutes, then you could listen to the 6-minute one. But generally in the evening, well, if you really want, you can make 18 minutes, can't you? Because he recommends the 15 minutes. And then the end of day reflection, which is these questions. Just before you go to bed, ask yourself the questions, spend a couple of minutes on it, and you can learn lessons from your day. And there's a recording there will guide you through it if you want that. So it's it's all there as the ideal. There's the template, and then you use the various practices accordingly, fit them into your program. So it becomes Sally's program that works for Sally, and for anyone else. Everyone design their own program. So that's a little overview of the whole program. I just thought I should do that actually at some point. So I think a lot of people don't even see the second part of it. They're, I missed that. It was like, okay, well, let's maybe make it a bit more explicit then.
Yeah, and sometimes it kind of just sinks in better when you say it, and they go, oh yeah, I've forgotten that. Oh yeah, I haven't done that lately. Oh yeah, all right, I can do it.
Try and find your own rhythm with it, and the idea is this is a reference email for the day, so you can go back there. You go, okay, so it's now the afternoon. Okay, so click the link, and you click the link, and it's going to open up, and it'll play straight away, and you can do your breath break, and you can do your meditation. So, try to make it as easy as possible. It's all there. You just got to go and read it, click it, and off you go. Okay, so
with all that, you'd be in oneness all day, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you followed the ideal schedule, you would be living like a monk.
Yeah.
They just dedicate your life to the spiritual practice of being in the now. This is what people for time immemorial who've chosen to go on a monastic path, monk, a priest, whatever, and they just live this way. So you could spend all your day, doing this, and a few bits in between. But for most people, they're not going to do that. So then you've got to customize it accordingly. So, okay, well, yes, I can do a minute every hour, and I could do 15 minutes in the morning, and I could do a live session once or twice a week, and that's what I can do. So that's then that's my spiritual practice.
That's what changed my practice. I had a week's holiday and decided just to focus on doing this. So I started coming on 5 days a week, or maybe I think it was 6 days a week that way. And then I felt so good about it. I thought I'm just going to keep it going. Not doing quite as much when I'm working, but certainly doing the lunchtimes ones is like setting that space of a couple of hours. It feels right, because if I wasn't on the call, I'd be listening to the recording. So I might as well be on the live call than spend the evening listening to the recording. So
and then you get to interact, and like something that happened yesterday, that's not going to happen on a recording, is it? It's never going to happen on a recording, because it's an live interactive. dealing in the moment, that's not planned, something arises, like, okay, well, let's do this, do it, and then suddenly you get a shift, and it's personal and individual to what you're dealing with. So it's like coaching, that's happening, and that's much more valuable than just a recording. So
Well,
you've got to show up. So anyone listening, show up.
I'd love you to show up because it's nice when there's more people.
Yeah, it is, because then there's more interaction and more stuff comes in, and people bring in their stories. And Yad's shown up a few times, like, oh, that's really interesting. It's a different energy and a story, and then it changes the dynamics of the session, doesn't it?
Well, I noticed yesterday, because when I came on the call yesterday, I had no intention of sharing anything. I didn't have anything in mind that I was going to, but just something gave me a little nudge to say something, and then you had a nudge to ask me about it, and then so it all unfolded. But that's the magic, isn't it? It's about, if we all follow our nudges, how it all unfolds perfectly.
Yeah. And half of it is just showing up. You just show up. You put yourself in the field of transformation, which is what this Zoom room is. And then you show up and stuff happens, miracles happen just because you showed up and you're willing. So yes, you're saying just be a little willing, just show up, be willing to do this, and the Holy Spirit is going to help you, because it wants you to get this. It's a universal inspiration that wants you to understand, and wants you to know who you really are, and wants you to wake up. And so then and then the flow, and you go, wow, that's amazing. Actually, there is this really beneficent force that's really trying to help me to heal. And it is arranging all these holy encounters to help me on my journey. So I'm not alone. And you start to trust that no matter what, that power is always there, and always there to help you. And then how can you not be grateful? Which is today's lesson. So you want to read that. Love is the way I walk in gratitude.
Can I do the other bit first? Because I've got a question about it.
Yeah.
I'm not a body, I'm free, for I'm still as God created me, or I'm still as perfect love extends me. And thank you for changing extends. That feels better. People have said to me, a couple of people have said to me lately, the body always wants to be well. Belief system, I know, but it's like, and I say, no, it doesn't. It's an illusion. It's the ego. Actually, it's got a death wish. But how would you answer that if somebody says, well, the body always wants to be well? What would you say?
Well, I'd say the body has no mind. The body has no awareness other than the awareness of your own mind. So when people, just by that statement, there's a misunderstanding of what they are. What they're really doing is identifying themselves as a body. The body wants to. So the body has some kind of intention that's not you, that's separate from you. How does that work exactly? And so in the language, you've got to be very careful with the language. We say, oh, the brain, or my body wants this, or it's nonsense. It's your mind. And you have control of your mind. There's two thought systems that govern your mind. The ego, which is just a thought system, it's all in your mind, looks on the body differently and says, oh, okay, well, you can identify with the body. Yes, you're a body. The body wants, the body needs. This kind of language makes the body seem to be real, makes the body seem to be the governing principle of the mind. So now you set up a situation where the body seems to be stronger than the mind. I mean, that's insane. But that's the ego's twisted logic. Makes absolutely no sense. So the external, this is scientific materialism, says the body and the brain are real, and they create the experience of mind, of consciousness. I mean, that's just ludicrous, totally upside down. But that's the paradigm. So as insane as it is, that's the scientific materialist paradigm that is the dominant paradigm in our world, and most people believe that by default. When you make it conscious and you go, well, how can that be? I mean, what created the body then? Did the body just come from nothing? They can't really answer that. Scientific materialists can't really answer that. They just, well, it all, there was a massive explosion of energy, and then And now there's the body, and it's all chemicals, and it's all, you know, atoms and molecules and chemicals, but why? It doesn't answer the question. Well, why? What created it all? You can't really answer that question. So it's kind of like a thought system with no real explanation as to how this all arose, which is why it's not true. Because if you understand we're mind, and the body is an expression of mind, right? It's a projection of mind. Because the mind had an intention to be separate, and then invented a separate self, a body, to live in. That makes so much sense, doesn't it? That's why we have a body. Because the mind wanted to be separate, and it created a form that would bring that idea of separation into form, into apparent reality, and then we would be living in that form, and we get so lost in that we'd believe we really were separate. But it was the mind that invented it all. So the body doesn't do anything. It's all the mind. So that's how I'd start answering it. It's not the body, it's the mind.
Yeah.
The body wants to be healthy. Well, your mind should want to be healthy. If your mind is healed and whole, then the mind only has health and healing in its mind. And then the body will follow suit. But the healing is not primarily about the body. The body is just a reflection of that. The healing is about knowing who you are, knowing yourself, knowing that you're one, and then the body reflects the health of the mind. So physical health follows mental health. Mental health is the driver. So then I'd say to them, well, what do you want? Do you only intend health, or do you still believe in the ego, which means you have a death wish? Because those are the choices. If you believe in the ego in any way, shape, or form, then you don't just want the health of the body. In fact, you want suffering and sickness and death, because that's what the ego believes in. Oh, I don't want that. Well, really, you need to really look, you see. Too often people will say that very glibly, and they won't really go and explore it and go, okay, what does that actually mean? And do I really only want health? Or am I just kind of saying that? Is there another intention there that's going on? So the ego wants sickness, and it wants suffering, and it wants death, because it makes the separation real, and it makes its separate identity real. So those are an integral part of its thought system. So the ego doesn't want health at all. What do you want? If you're truly in your right mind, you'd say, no, I don't want any of that. Which means I don't want to be a body. Thank you very much. Temporarily, I'll have a body, but I realize this is very temporary. It's a vehicle for my awakening. Ultimately, I'm leaving the body, I'm leaving the world, I'm leaving the thought system, sickness and suffering and death behind, because I don't want any of it. So that's how I would answer them, which is a long answer. But you got to unpack it, because in that, just that statement, there's a whole lot of assumptions that you then got to. So what you got to get good at doing is unpacking the assumptions. Okay, so let's just back it up a bit. What do you believe just by that statement? Oh, the body wants to be healthy. What must you believe? And then you can unpack it. You see how these models, like the integral model, they help you to unpack it and go, okay, so let's really look at what's going on here. And then you can kind of deconstruct it. And if the person's open, they might, oh wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that. Just from a simple statement like that. You can track it down all the way to deconstructing the ego and showing them the truth, just from one sentence like that. The body wants to be healthy.
Well, thinking about the last person that said it, I reckon they were saying the body always wants to be healthy, but they didn't really want to be healthy themselves in their mind. So yeah, that clarifies it.
So there's a split in their mind. They're thinking that there's something separate from the body. The body has some kind of consciousness other than them. I mean, it's bizarre. How can you? So now you have a split going on. You're not unified. There's a split mind, and the body is just symbolic of that split.
Okay, so love is the way I walk in gratitude.
So let's just have a look at this. There's some teaching here.
The Holy Spirit is my only guide. He walks with me in love, and I give thanks to him for showing me the way to go. Alternatively, the remembrance of perfect love is my only guide. It walks with me in love, and I give thanks to it for showing me the way to go. God, it's so much softer, isn't it, saying it the second way?
Just that, I think if you bring in the word love, there's something about that word that just really softens it. Remembrance of perfect love. Okay, because it becomes experiential, it becomes a felt. Love is about feeling, it's about the heart.
I think it's quite interesting, that thing that people often use. They say, what would love do? Way of seeing it from another point of view. But that's still another step away from realizing that they are love.
It's a reminder that what would love do? That presence of love is in them. Now the Holy Spirit, or this remembrance, is how this divine love, unconditional love that transcends the illusion of time and space, how does that translate into your experience? It walks with me in love. Okay, so it's with me in the world, walking with me, going with me wherever I go. And I give thanks to it for showing me the way to go. Okay, so this is the guidance system. This is going to show me this loving presence that's non-dual is going to be interpreted through my mind, and it's going to show me what to say and what to do in this world. So that's the Holy Spirit, the guidance system. That is how you operated in this world. If you didn't have the Holy Spirit, this translation mechanism, then it would be like there's pure formless awareness of perfect love, and there's separation, and never the twain shall meet. There's no bridge, there's no way back. We're stuck in the separation. This becomes how we live this in the world, and it becomes very practical, very tangible, very real to us, and that then is the real world he talks about. Guided by love, guided by the Holy Spirit, or remembrance of perfect love, we now have a different experience of this world. It becomes the real world where we are seeing correctly. Our perception is corrected. We're not seeing through the ego's eyes anymore. And that's then taking us back to pure formless awareness of perfect love, ultimately. Because it's a remembrance of it. It makes complete sense. You remember it, and the more you remember it, the more it takes you back to that state of being completely in it. So this isn't rocket science, but the language, if you say Holy Spirit God, Holy Spirit Father, Son, it makes it all kind of conceptual and not understandable because you just haven't used language correctly. But there's pure formless awareness of perfect love as the Father, or the source, Holy Trinity. There we go. Just pull that up. So just use the correct language, and it becomes obvious. Okay, well, this is just the remembrance of perfect love. So the Holy Spirit, or the remembrance of oneness or perfect love, is just the remembrance of this, and how this then can translate through the concept of oneself into all of your experiences. All of the life experiences are now perceived from the oneself, that's the identity, and you remember perfect love from the Christ self must. Well, that's not rocket science, is it? That's pretty simple. So that's what I like about, it's just demystifying all of this. This has all got put into many teachings. It's a mystery, and we don't really understand it. And actually, it's really simple. It's very, very simple. It's a simple operating system, and it's not meant to be a mystery. It's meant to be, very clear, so that you can actually live this way. And these diagrams are just there to clear up any misperceptions, misconceptions about it. Okay?
Yeah.
So then just the final wrapping, you want to read that, and we'll go into meditation.
I'm not a body, I am free, for I'm still as perfect love extends me.
I like that present, extends. It extends me right now. I'm in the now, aren't I? Still as perfect love extends me right now. And then you just drop into that awareness, and you go, it feels really good. Expansive, aware, open, spacious. So shall we meditate on this?
Yeah, thank you.
Do this for 15, 20 minutes, and then we might have half an hour to do the text. Okay, so just making yourself comfortable, sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So you're breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind, so noticing any thoughts, any emotions, any sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way, shape, or form. Breathe into it, create some space, some awareness. And just observe any thoughts, any emotions, sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting. Anything that's not love, in other words. And remind yourself that I am not a body. I am free. For I am still. Remain as God created me, or as perfect love extends me. So exhale. Have a sense of letting go of any of these blocks to the awareness of love's presence. As when you're blowing them out like black smoke out of your mouth. It's leaving you with the help of your breath. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest here. In the peace and the stillness. Say to yourself, love is the way I walk. In gratitude. Feel into those words. Breathe in. Let's deep breath in. Breathe in the essence of the love. It's perfect love. Which leads you into a state of pure formless awareness. Breathe it in to every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. It's infused with this perfect love and gratitude. Feel into it, surrender to it. That's what it means to surrender to God. You just feel this feeling and no other. If there's anything else arising, still some negative thoughts, just block this awareness. Any scraps of fear, little bits of irritation, fragments of sin and guilt, just look at them from this place of higher awareness, of love and gratitude, and be willing to let them go. Blow them away. It's the breeze of your breath. Something like black smoke leaving you, going, gone to the nothingness they really are. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel all of that negativity out. Just rest. In the peace and the stillness for a few moments. Feel the love and the gratitude in your heart. Drop your attention down into your heart center. It helps you. You can put one hand on your heart. Just feel into that space. Feel grateful for this loving presence, this loving awareness that is who you are, your true awareness, and it's arising right now. Your still as perfect love extends you right now in this moment. So just feel that and appreciate it. Feel grateful for it. Nothing else you need to do. God doesn't need to be worshipped in any other way. It's just gratitude for this awareness. And you smile. You realize experientially that you're not a body. Say, I'm not a body. I am free in this love and gratitude. For I am still. I remain and I am in the stillness, quietness of mind. As perfect love extends me right now. Smile and then just allow yourself to drop into the experience of this. Go beyond words, beyond all thoughts, all emotions, all physical sensations. So let that all go. And let love reveal itself. And allow gratitude to arise for it. Deeply. The next couple of minutes of deep silence, just let love lead you in the way of gratitude. If any thoughts come in to seemingly disturb this deep peace, just notice them, breathe into them. Let's deep breath in. Remind yourself, I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as perfect love extends me in this moment. I walk the way of love and gratitude right now. Love is with me. Nothing else is true or real. When you exhale on the truth of that and you release any clouds, these thoughts and emotions that seem to block your awareness of love's presence are just cloud patterns. Shifting, changing, ephemeral. They are not the truth. So you blow them away with the breeze of your breath and you sink inwards to the love and the gratitude for that love. And just give yourself over to this experience fully and completely. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about for the next 2 minutes of deep silence. Just breathe, observe the breath flowing in and out through your nose. Relax, be still. Feel the love and the gratitude in your heart. There's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, nothing else to think about or feel. Just be in the love and the gratitude for the next 2 minutes of deep silence. Okay, so just coming back gently. Some awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Observing all the thoughts, emotions, any sensations going on still in your mind, and then just being willing to let them go as you exhale. Breathing out. Let them go with your breath. And find a sense of peace and love, gratitude in the moment. Notice on the count of 2 the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling and touching with your hands. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, and notice that. A smell in your nose, notice that. Notice what you hearing in the surrounding environment. Noticing all these things from the state of pure formless awareness. No judgment, no interpretation of your sense perceptions. And you find that there's just this underlying love and a deep peace and joy, and this is the way that you walk, the way of love, walking in gratitude, the abundant life we've talked about. So experience that now. On the count of 3, open your eyes, just look around and notice that awareness is still there. It's never really gone away. Doesn't matter what you're looking at. You can observe that it's still there, underlying everything. It's the essence of everything. So see it in everything. Know that it's truly there. And just anchor the state in for the rest of the afternoon. Set the intention to stay there, and you're going to stay rooted in this by using the lesson to connect you with this loving presence. So every hour, just for a few seconds, remind yourself, love is the way I walk in gratitude. If you have a bit longer, you can use one of the breath breaks I've sent you. One is only 90 seconds, the other one's about 6 minutes. And that should keep you connected to your source and walking the way of love and gratitude, which is a very powerful, abundant experience of life. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. We've got about half an hour to do some text. So let's dive into that. Okay. So if you just want to get yourself to a good position, ready to do the text, I'll share my screen. Just let me know when you're ready. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. So this one is called. This text reading is called The Borderlands, section 3 of chapter 26. So I've done a bit of translation already. Do you want to just read the translated version?
Complexity is not of pure formless awareness of perfect love. Yeah, I like that sentence. I found for a while, it's simple. Spirit's simple, isn't it? Ego's complicated.
Yeah. It's not of perfect love. We'll simplify that.
Yeah. Complexity is not of perfect love. How could it be when all it knows is one? It knows of one creation, one reality, one truth, and but one extension.
Right. Just do this replacement. Yep.
Nothing conflicts with oneness. How then could there be a complexity in it, in him, in it?
In it, yeah.
What is there to decide? For it is conflict that makes choice possible. Truth, the truth, I can't see what underneath the next bit is.
Sorry, it does this from time to time.
The truth is simple. It is one without an opposite. And how could strife enter in its simple presence and bring complexity where oneness is?
So I think what I'm going to do is make capital truth. I don't understand why they don't capitalize that, because it's talking about oneness, isn't it?
Mm.
There's one without an opposite, and then it's simple presence. Presence again. Escape. Presence is capitalized. Bring complexity where oneness is.
The truth makes no decisions, for there is nothing to decide between. And only if there were could choosing be a necessary step. I think that needs changing, doesn't it?
Yeah, only if there were. There's nothing to decide between. Only if there were
A choice.
alternatives to choose between. Could choosing be a necessary step? So we'll just spell it out, shall we?
And only
if there were alternatives, let's just keep it simple. Could choosing be a necessary step?
In the advance toward oneness. What is everything leaves room for nothing else. What is everything leaves room for nothing else. Yet is this magnitude beyond the scope of this curriculum. Yet is this magnitude beyond the scope of this curriculum. Okay. Nor is it necessary we dwell on anything that cannot be immediately grasped.
Okay. So saying it's beyond, like, as he says in the introduction, you can't really teach the meaning of love. It's beyond what can be taught. You can teach how to undo the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is what this curriculum is about.
Mm.
So we can't dwell on anything that cannot be immediately grasped. That's why it's not a course in revelation. It's a course in miracles, because it's the undoing of the mind, of the false beliefs that's necessary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that made sense. Unusually so, it made sense.
Yeah, you're saying really, simplicity is truth, and complexity is not of the truth, it's of the ego.
Yeah.
And ultimately, in truth, there's no alternative. So there's no decision to be made. How can it be complex if there's only one awareness? You see, it's the ultimate in simplicity. There's no choice. Choice seems to make our lives very complex, because now we don't know what to choose.
Mm. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I have some clients that say they find making decisions really difficult. But, they're in the complicated ego world.
It's very simple if you understand the thought systems, but it requires a lot of mind training to really understand what it is you're dealing with.
Mm.
Which is why we do the mind training in this course.
Okay. There is a borderline of thought that stands between the world and the state, pure formless awareness.
Borderland, that is. Borderland of thought.
What did I say?
Borderline.
Okay.
Borderland, yeah. So it's kind of this in-between state of thought that stands between this world, the external world, and the state of pure formless awareness, which is heaven.
Yeah, borderland. It's interesting.
And in between states, somewhere, and it's happening in our mind. It's thought.
Yeah. Okay. It is not a place, and when you reach it, is apart from time.
Does that make sense? When you reach it,
When
you reach it is apart from time. Okay, so it's timeless. In other words,
another it, maybe another it in there. No.
How about when you read it is when you reach it?
It is timeless.
When you reach it, is timeless.
And placeless. There's no place in space.
Yeah, no space and no time. When you reach it is timeless. So there's no like, oh, this is it. It's a timeless state. Eternity means no time.
That's why you never arrive. That's why you never get to the end of this learning, because it's timeless. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
so you rest. Even if you've attained the highest state of consciousness, you just rest in that timeless state. There's no particular time for you.
There's no linear getting there.
No, you just rest in the timeless awareness that you are, and you realize that's what you always have been,
which is here now.
Yeah.
So next bit, here is the meeting place where thoughts are brought together, where conflicting values meet and all illusions are laid down beside the truth, where they are judged to be untrue.
Okay. So it's a total letting go. All conflicting values are let go of, and you find only the truth in your mind. That's the only awareness that you want.
Yeah, there's a certain energy about truth, isn't it? That when you know it, you know it. So this borderland is just beyond the gate of the state of pure formless awareness.
So we'll say it's just before. It's just using an analogy there. It doesn't really work if you've got the gate of the state.
This borderland is just before the state of pure formless awareness. Hang on, come back in a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, somebody at the door. Where are we up to?
This borderland is just before the state of pure formless awareness is realized.
Here is every thought made pure and wholly simple. Here is sin denied. And everything that is received instead. Here is sin denied and everything that is received instead. It's a funny
everything that is. So just emphasize that everything that is. So everything that is. So say true. Everything that is true received instead.
Here is sin denied and everything that is true received instead. Yeah, that's better.
Because the is the emphasis. Everything that is, as in like, is true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So he's saying there's this, we're not quite in the state of pure formless awareness because that's ultimate truth, but there's this borderland, which is where he's trying to take us with this course, where we are aware of the truth. That state is we get glimpses of it, but we are resting in a clean, clear perception where there's no sin, there's no guilt, and everything that is true received instead. So we can experience love and peace and joy and gratitude. So that's what he's training us to do with this course. The ultimate truth, the state of pure formless awareness, will come when we're ready. And so he says, this is the journey's end. We've referred to it as the real world, and yet there is a contradiction here in that the words imply a limited reality, a partial truth, a segment of the universe made true. This is because knowledge makes no attack upon perception. They are brought together. Only one continues past the gate where oneness is. So knowledge and perception can't both coexist. Knowledge is the state of pure formless awareness. Oneness, perception implies duality, implies a split, alternatives, choice. Awakening is a borderland where place and time and choice have meaning still. So we're still here, apparently living in this illusion, and yet it can be seen that they are temporary, out of place, and every choice has been made already. So, and yet we can perceive.
Doesn't that feel nice? Every choice has been already made. I do like that. It's a real sensation in my body. It's like,
yeah, you can perceive that temporary, out of place, and let's make it personal. We have already made every choice. So it's a done deal. You've already decided. It's just got to play itself out. You know, Yeshua says the script is written, but it's got to play itself out in time.
Yeah, I was just going to say that before you said it. It's a done deal. That's
It's a done deal. Which gives you security, comfort, peace, rest. It's like, okay, it's going to happen. I'm just playing it out. It's like I've already done this. I've already decided, and it's just got to play itself out. And so it's like I'm watching the movie. The movie's already been made of my life, the hero's journey, and I've just got to watch it play out scene by scene.
Yeah,
but the ultimate outcome is not in doubt. The movie's already been made. The hero ultimately does transcend and goes home. So it's a done deal, and I'm just watching this all play out for me in my particular movie, which is very comforting. Then related to yesterday's lesson, I placed the future in the hands of God. It's like, well, it's a done deal already. So it doesn't matter what temporary experiences I seem to have. I understand that the outcome is set. I'm already there, and so that knowledge then pulls you. It's like the pull through the dream that's guiding you to the ultimate destination.
Yeah, right. And it's no stress, no controlling, which is clear.
Okay, number 4.
Nothing the extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love believes can be destroyed. But what is truth to him must be brought to the last comparison that he will ever make. No, didn't get that. But what is truth to him, her, it?
It. We're talking about the extension.
So it must be brought to the last comparison. What does that mean, the last comparison?
The last comparison. So we're judging alternatives that we'll ever make. What is truth to it must be brought, but it must bring truth. Must bring truth to the last comparison that it will ever make.
I'm a bit unclear about the word comparison.
Okay, so you're comparing the different thought systems.
Oh, right.
Last evaluation that will be possible, the final judgment upon this world. You say, okay, so I need to choose. I need to decide. In the illusion of time, there seems to be a decision because there's two things to choose between. There's the world of perception and time and space and duality, and there's the world of oneness. And I must bring the truth to make the final comparison, the last judgment, he calls it in the text, final judgment upon this world, which is the judgment of truth upon illusion, of knowledge on perception, that it has no meaning and does not exist. That's the final judgment we're all called to make.
Okay. It's quite dramatic, though. I mean, I know it. I mean, this is where it's all leading, but it's like, wow, yeah.
Well, he's just spelling it out. He's stating it very clearly.
For some reason, that, inverted commas, it has no meaning and does not exist, feels quite dramatic.
Well, it's pretty radical. Okay, so the whole thing, my entire life here, the world, it has no meaning and it doesn't exist. If I really get that, it's like, whoa, like that's a radical thought.
It's a bit sad, actually. That's strange, isn't it?
Well, it's sad for the ego to recognize the futility of its entire world and thought system. It's like, well, what was the point? There never was a point. That's the whole point. There never was a point. It was a delusion. We made a terrible mistake. We've gone on this crazy path into this mad dream, and now it's like, well, realize the truth. It has no meaning. It doesn't exist. Only oneness exists.
Why didn't we realize the truth sooner, though? Because, I mean, we've got so deep into it, haven't we, now, that it's difficult to get out of it. Why didn't we realize sooner and go, hang on?
Because we wanted our own way. We wanted to believe the ego, and we kept listening to that voice that we made up. And it just takes you further and further away from the truth, more and more into the illusion, until you're so deeply in it that you've forgotten who you are, and then you're suffering, and you're dying, and you're wondering what the hell's going on here. And then you need, a simple truth like this to come in and say, well, actually, none of it has any meaning. And it doesn't exist. And this is not your decision. It is a simple statement of a simple fact, saying that the truth is true, whether you decide it's true or not. That the truth remains true. It has no meaning, it does not exist, is the ultimate truth. But in this world, there are no simple facts. Because what is the same and what is different remain unclear. The one essential thing to make a choice at all is this distinction. And herein lies the difference between the worlds. In this one, choice is made impossible. In the real world, is choosing simplified. So in this world, we don't know. We don't know the wood from the trees, he's saying. We're confused. We have no idea what's going on. We have no clear basis for choice. But in the real world, this world of enlightenment where we see clearly, we see very, very clearly the choices. And you just came yesterday into the real world. Because you said, I just see clearly now. I see that there's a choice. And I see very clearly the different options. So that's what he's talking about. So
it must be an ego now, then, to be feeling sad. That's nice. That's funny.
Well, it's only sad because the ego is, everything I've ever done is pointless and meaningless. So it feels like, well, there's no meaning to anything I've done. There's no purpose.
But I don't believe I am sad. So I'm observing there is a sensation of sadness. So I'm not lost in it, am I?
Yeah. You observe it and you go, that's not really me. That's just a residual self-concept arising, going, oh, this isn't nice. My whole world's a dream and none of it means anything. But the spirit is like, well, actually, it's fine. Yeah, it never did mean anything. Death and chaos and disaster never did mean anything. Only pure formless awareness of perfect love means anything.
Yeah, it's just coming home, isn't it? Okay, number 5. Awakening stops just short of the state of pure formless awareness.
Yeah.
Well, only perception needs awakening. The state of pure formless awareness was never lost, and so cannot be saved. Oh, I felt that, cannot be saved. Yet who can make a choice between the wish for the state of pure formless awareness and the wish for hell?
Say pure formless awareness. And hell is victimhood.
Yeah.
So you actually want to be a victim. mean, it's bizarre, but that's the ego's, unless you recognize they're not the same. Saying, they're not the same.
No. Oh, I'm really feeling it. Really
This
feeling it.
difference is the learning goal this course has set. So it's set, to come to the clarity of awareness. Okay, these are two alternatives and they are not the same. And I can't honor both. I must choose. That's all he's trying to train us to do. So it will not go beyond this aim. Its only purpose is to teach what is the same and what is different, leaving room to make the only choice that can be made.
Yeah.
Because we see so clearly that there's a difference, and the one is completely delusional and insane, and the other one makes sense and works. Well, is there really a choice then?
No.
In the end, you realize there isn't a choice, because the choice for madness was never really a choice.
A choice for madness.
Yeah, it was insane. It never really was a valid choice, was it?
No. Choice for madness. Oh, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just using different words brings up different things, doesn't it? You know it's an insane idea, but then you go madness. Oh yeah, I've been
No.
okay.
No.
Right.
Number 6.
Number 6, there is no basis for a choice in this complex and overcomplicated world, for no one understands what is the same and seems to choose where no choice really is. The real world is the area of choice made real, not in the outcome, but in the perception of alternatives for choice. For there is choice, that there is choice is an illusion, yet within the one lies the undoing of every illusion, not accepting this. Yeah, well, that's pretty clear, isn't it? No choice. So the choice is an illusion.
Yeah.
Thank
So
goodness.
in forgiveness, when you really let go, you're saying it's still an illusion because I'm making a choice, but it's the one choice that undoes the idea of choice.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Within this one, there lies the undoing of every illusion and not accepting this. So even forgiveness will be undone. Forgiveness is an illusion. It's not required in the state of pure formless awareness. So it's collapsing the idea of choice, collapsing all alternatives entirely.
Yeah. That's cool. Like that. Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then last paragraph.
It is not like it is not this like your special function where the separation is undone by change of purpose in what once was specialness and now is union. All illusions are but one. And in the recognition this is so lies the ability to give up all attempts to choose between them and to make them different. How simple is the choice between two things so clearly unalike? There is no conflict here. No sacrifice is possible in the relinquishment of an illusion recognized as such, where all reality has been withdrawn from what was never true, and can be hard to give up and choose what must be true.
So if you see, there's no choice. This was insane.
Yeah.
To have a split mind, to have these alternatives. You made up the alternative. You withdraw all reality from what was never true. Somebody say, well, it was never true. Then can it be hard to give it up and choose what must be true? If you have the realization. So he's trying to get us to realize the truth, and then the choice is inevitable. Now, once we're aware of the options, the choice for truth is inevitable. And we collapse duality. There's no more choice left, and we realize there's simply one. And there only ever was one awareness. And on that note, I have to go. Unfortunately, I have to be out of here in about 5 minutes. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. That was short, sharp, and to the point. I think we got seven paragraphs of the text in about 25 minutes, which is pretty much a record. So, yeah, well done. I'll send this out a bit later. The translation.
Yeah, great. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Okay, Sally.
Bye.
Namaste.